So now it is my pleasure to introduce our morning keynote, Jurgen Appello. Jurgen is joining us today to talk about managing for happiness. His writing and speaking is challenging creative organizations to thrive by introducing better management with fewer managers. Jurgen writes a popular blog at noop.nl, offering ideas on the creative economy, agile management, organizational change, and personal development. He is the author of the well-known Management 3.0. He is also How to Change the World, #workout, which we have a couple of these. These are in limited supply, right, Jurgen? So we have a couple of these we'll be handing out at the after-conference social as well that'll be signed by Jurgen. And coming out this June, his new book, Managing for Happiness. So Jurgen is the CEO of the Happy Melly Network and co-founder of the Agile Lean Europe Network and STUS Network. So let's give a big mile-high welcome to Jurgen.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. In Dutch, that is goedemorgen. Repeat after me. Goedemorgen. Some people are going to sue me over this, I'm quite sure. Oh, my throat, my throat. So, yeah, I'm Dutch. I apologize for that. That's something that I have to tell you. The Dutch people in Europe are known for what others call our bluntness, our insensitivity. We call it openness and honesty. There's this thing that is in normal people's heads, like Americans, normal people, they have this thing in their head that filters anything between what they think and what they say, right? With Dutch people, it got stripped out of our DNA like 100,000 years ago. It's not there. It's not there. There's a funny thing. This is actually true. In many cultures, there's this expression of stepping on a person's toes, right? Not offending someone. In Dutch language, we have the opposite expression. Like, we say, some people have long toes. They're so easily offended. Oh, I offended you? Oh, long toes. It's true, this is true. So we just have the opposite perspective on that. So at any moment when you think, oh my God, what is he saying now? Just think, it is so awesome of him to go on stage with a mental deficiency. All right? Just keep that in mind. Okay, here we go. Before we start, I'd like to ask everyone to stand up. Yeah, this is early morning. Anyone stand up, please? Oh, it's so cool to say that to 800 people. Make me feel so powerful. All right, here we go. We're now going to sing Psalm 19. No, just kidding. I have 3 important questions for you, 3 difficult questions, and I want you to be embarrassingly honest with me. Just pretend that I'm your mother-in-law. I just found out that you flushed my homemade lemonade down the toilet. I saw you do that. Now confess. It's time to confess. Own up to what you did. So be honest. I have 3 important questions. The first question is, many organizations struggle with innovation. If you recognize that in your company, please take a seat. If you recognize that your company has difficulty launching new products, new services, please have a seat. All right. Thank God we still have a few people standing. Unlike 2 weeks ago in the Netherlands when everyone sat down, I was done. That was odd. Okay, thank you guys. Hold on, I have the second question for you. Second question. Many people struggle with introducing change in their companies and on their teams. If you recognize that in your case, please sit down. If you have difficulty convincing your team members to adopt new practices, new ideas, take a seat. All right, this is exciting. Just a few left. Last question. Last question. This is a difficult one. Many research reports confirm again and again that many people around the world are not fully happy in their jobs. If you recognize that, don't worry, just take a seat. If you're not fully happy, engaged, and satisfied in your work, just take a seat. All right, they're still standing. That is so awesome. So These people are happy workers who know how to introduce change and innovate their companies, right? Now they realize that there are so few of them, they're going to negotiate for a raise tomorrow, I'm quite sure. Thank you so much, I appreciate that. Thanks for your honesty. I estimate there was about 3.5% that was still standing. So I'll get back to that in a moment. First, I have an idea for you. I have an idea. I once organized a dinner with my colleagues at my house. I was Chief Information Officer at that time, company of about 200 people, and I had a spreadsheet with the names of everyone. And being a former software developer, I configured it to generate random names, like 2 programmers, 1 system administrator, account manager, project manager, and the chief vice president of the pencils and paper clips. And I invited them to my house, and the day before dinner, I found myself some easy-to-make recipes, usually from Jamie Oliver cookbooks, because they're easy. It's like, throw in a handful of basil and a bucket of tomatoes and shovel in some mozzarella. Anyone can do that. It's easy. So I did the groceries, prepared the kitchen, and when my colleagues arrived, I told them, and now you do the cooking. Surprise. So after they had recovered from the shock, one of the programmers would self-organize with the project manager and start preparing the main dish. And the other programmer would pick up the appetizers recipe with the account manager. And the system administrator would volunteer to take care of the desserts, for example. And being a system administrator, he obviously would not allow anyone access to the chocolate without permission, of course. The chief vice president of the pencils and paper clips would prepare the table, and I was managing, pouring people drinks and watching. That's what managers do. So I did that about 6 or 7 times, and it was always a success. People loved it. I had them self-organize in my kitchen and be happy and productive. And I call that Management 3.0. That is getting people together, have them self-organize, create ties across departments. They baked lasagna in my favorite salad bowl, and they were happy. And I call that Management 3.0. And some people in the organization asked me, "Hey, I heard that that people have been cooking for you at your house. That's insane. When is it my turn?" It was so awesome. So it worked for me. And now, when I realized that this worked for me, I thought, maybe I could turn this into a method. Maybe I could give it a name. Maybe I could call it Collaborative Cross-Company Cooking. That sounds good, right? Maybe I could be the founder of the Collaborative Cross-Company Cooking Institute. Maybe I could teach people the Collaborative Cross-Company Cooking Framework and give them Collaborative Cross-Company Cooking certificates. Oh, that sounds so interesting. Maybe I could ask Jamie Oliver to join me in the Collaborative Cross-Company Cooking Alliance. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. I don't feel like that. But sometimes people ask me, Jurgen, what are these 7 practices that everyone should be doing around the world as managers and leaders? What are the 3 Management 3.0 practices for all HR departments? What is the one leadership competency for all managers around the world? And I don't answer those questions because I have absolutely no idea. I do know that there are some timeless principles that allow me to come up with such practices as collaborative cross-company cooking or whatever. Are there any executives in the room? Any C-level people? Any CEO, CIO, CXO, CMO, CTO? We need a bigger bloody L for those. I saw a couple of hands, but they were like, oh, well, maybe me. But I think there were a few. Okay, so I have the executive summary here for the C-suite, right? The executive summary is as follows. Run frameworks, not experiments. Run experiments, not frameworks. Sorry. Because experiments make people happy. And frameworks you install on machines. You don't install that on people. Right? So run experiments with people. Manage the system, not the people. Because if you manage the environment, then people can self-organize within that environment. But you have to manage that environment. And focus on progress and not on happiness. Don't try to make people happy, that won't work. Do other stuff. Make progress there, that will make them happy. That's it. That's the summary. The executives can go now. The rest is just boring details like actual experience and stuff. The executives are very busy, I'm sure, calculating bonuses and firing people and all that stuff. I know, I'm a CEO, it's hard work. Someone has to do this. Serious. Okay, you're in the room, you stay here, good. Let's start. I have a couple of other examples. Things that I have been doing, and I call these Management 3.0 practices, but they all follow these same principles. I was once at a conference in Barcelona a couple of years ago, and Jim McCarthy was speaking there. I'm sure some of you know him. Yay! And he said something to the audience that really resonated to me. He said, "You have one thing wrong in the Agile community. You're always focusing on co-location, getting the people in the same room, co-located teams, blah, blah, blah." He said, that is not the point. It is useful. It is good to have people in the same room. We're in the same room here together. It has its benefits, but the end goal is not a geographical closeness. The end goal is mental closeness between people. And then I thought, yes, of course. And that is easier when you're in the same room. But the trends are in the opposite direction nowadays. We have flex time, remote working, distributed teams. I have a team now of 15 people all over the world. We cannot be in the same room. That's like the new norm. So we need other practices to achieve mental closeness between people. So I thought, what can I do? What kind of practices do we use in order to dive into topics? Well, mind maps. It's a popular practice to learn something about any kind of topic. So I thought, can I apply mind maps to people? Can I apply mind maps to a person? Yes, I can. I started making one for myself. I started making one about some of my colleagues. There's a mind map of me. You just write your name and some little bubbles around them, like education, goals, and friends and family, whatever. And you talk about that. And we do this now with my team. Every time we have a new team member, we ask that team member to create their personal map. And then we discuss it. Like, this is the personal map of Lisette. Lisette already adapted the idea because she used illustrations and photos. That's so awesome. I had not even come up with that. But that's what she did. And there's an important rule. You're not allowed to present your personal map. You offer it to the team, and then they ask questions. Because we all know what the extroverts will be doing once they're allowed to present themselves. They will go on and on and on and on and on. Not allowed. So only answering questions like, "Hey Lisette, what's that thing with the red hair over there? Oh, well, that was a phase when I was 19. And that's so awesome. That's how we got discussions going, and you know something about a person. Here's another personal map. This one is by Hannu, and you can see that Hannu is from Finland because there's almost nothing on the personal map. No, it's true. The people in Finland, my friends in Finland, pride themselves on not using too many words. My name is Hannu. I am from Finland. And then the questions got started. All right, Hannu, where in Finland? Helsinki. Cool, so. Hannu is awesome, by the way. This joke got the biggest laugh in Finland, I kid you not. Yeah. They agree. They agree. They don't use so many words. The words in Finnish are 5 times longer than in any other language. They have to. They have to be economical there. So here's another one by Sergey, who's obviously our software architect. Sergey is so cool. He's Russian. And I have a couple of more. This is Dave from one of my workshops. I like the colorful ones with a lot of pictures, and by Terry, by Nicole, etc., etc. This one's by, oh my God, Julio, technical engineer, of course. None of these are bad. These are all awesome people. And the nice thing is, when you see someone drawing a map about themselves, you already get a little bit of insight in the kind of person they are. That's so nice. And then we just ask questions. And my team now demands, with every new person that we hire, we want to see your personal map on the next call. And then we're going to ask questions because they think that's fun. So let's do a little experiment. I have the 3 principles at the top. Run experiments, not frameworks over there. Manage the system, not people over here. And focus on progress, not on happiness over there. Which of these principles did you recognize most in personal maps? If you saw running experiments, not frameworks, point over there in that direction. If you saw manage the system, not people, point upwards. If you saw focus on progress, not happiness, point over there in that direction. Let me see the hands. Okay, yeah. Okay, this is scientific research here. All right, I think we have 32.7% pointing that way. Yeah, I agree. It's a bit of everything, actually. Mostly perhaps focusing on progress, getting to know more about people. That is progress, and that generates happiness among everyone. But I have a few more. I have some more ideas. The word management is originally from the Italian word maneggiare, which means leading horses. Isn't that nice? That's so cool. In my language, in Dutch, manege is a place where we keep horses. Yeah. So it all comes from the same root, from Latin or something. So managing an organization is like dealing with a horse, handling a living system. I like that metaphor. It's not a machine, it's something that lives and breathes, that you have to take care for, and if you do it well, it probably won't kick you in the face. That's so nice. Right? So some organizations are like race horses. They have to run at and win at the tracks. Other organizations are like sturdy horses, and they pull carts full of vegetables or tourists or whatever. Maybe some of them are more like donkeys. I don't know. Could be. There could be some of them could be like My Little Pony, a little startup or something. So they're all horses. And we have to take care of the horses. Now, some people, I'm not naming any names here, but some people in Agile community say we don't need managers. We have self-organizing teams. They can take care of everything. They can just self-organize and make things happen. Well, pure self-organization would be like a wild horse. It can do anything it wants. That is self-organization, right? Now, I am not going to sit on a wild horse, slap its ass, say yeehaw, and then hope and pray that it runs in the right direction. That would be full self-organization, right? I prefer to have at least some feeling of control, quote unquote, although the horse pretty much decides whatever it wants to do, and steer a little bit, and have the reins and the spurs and the fence somewhere. That is what I mean by enabling self-organization in the Management 3.0 context. So giving and taking control. Managers delegate work to people, but they often don't give them clear boundaries of control. Where can you self-organize? That turns out to be a big problem in many organizations. Where is the fence? On the other side of the fence, there is another horse or something like that. Now, delegation is not a binary thing. It's not either I do something or you do something. There are actually levels of self-organization. And I stole this model from situational leadership, which actually has 4 levels, but I call it the Management 2.0 practice because there's still this hierarchy in it. You can only delegate down, and I don't like that. I like a symmetrical model that is a respectful relationship between 2 equal parties. The manager can delegate to the team can delegate to the manager. That's also possible. So level 1 is tell. I tell as a manager what I expect people to do. That is like dictatorship, basically. Level 2 is sell. I try to convince people of my decision. Level 3 is consult. I will ask everyone first, what do you think that I should be doing? I'm ultimately responsible. It's my head on the block, but I want you to tell me what you think is a good choice. The level 4 is consult. It is a consensus. This is the typical Dutch approach. We talk and talk and talk until someone dies of exhaustion. And then the winner makes the decision. And then level 5 is the opposite direction. Here the team makes a decision, but they have to ask me for my opinion first. I have to advise them. Level 6 is I inquire. They make the decision, but they have to sell it to me, basically. I will ask them, so what did you do? I will not change your decision, but I'm interested. Level 7 is full delegation. You can do whatever you want. I don't even understand all that stuff. Now, this is a symmetrical model. It works in both directions. That's why I like it more than something that only delegates down. And you can visualize this. You can turn this into a board. You can call it a delegation board or an empowerment board, whatever. You just show the horse where the fence is. That would be a respectful thing to do to teams, to organizations. Go ahead, self-organize in my kitchen over here, but you're not allowed to touch this salad bowl next time. For example. So I have a couple of examples sent to me. This is a delegation board that was sent to me by a Dutch company, actually. The experts would be able to see that this is a Dutch board. Because you know, Dutch people like freedom, but we do not like anarchy. Things have to be neat and tidy and well organized, but we love our freedom. So that's an interesting paradox there. So for example, what you can see here, that seating is delegated level 1. Basically it means you sit there, you sit there, you sit there, not there, there, and you sit over there. Stop moving seat, you sit over there. While salary is delegated all the way onto level 6. You can pay yourself anything you want, whatever. Yeah, no, just let me know afterwards, whatever you paid yourself, as long as you sit there. You have to sit there. No, not there. You cannot pay your salary from that chair. You have to pay your salary from that chair. My God, that would be anarchy if people would be paying each other salaries from any chair. That would be Dutch. That would be Dutch. So it's odd, I admit, but it could be the perfect board. I'm not judging. I just find it a bit weird. It could be a perfect board for that team. Here's another one. This one was sent by a company in Poland. They invented a new delegation level, level 0. That probably means I'm not even going to tell them what I decided. Screw them. Actually, there can be valid reasons for having a delegation level 0. I read in the book Delivering Happiness by Tony Hsieh about Zappos, who were acquired by Amazon a couple of years ago, that top management was not even allowed to discuss this with their employees, that they were in the process of being acquired by another company. That would, by law, that would be a problem. So sometimes there is a level 0 indeed. Here's another one. This is a typical board from Germany, I would say. Complicated. It's so cool. Masters of delegation over here. And I love it. It's a great blog post, actually. They describe that they use different colors for different roles or different people. That made a lot of sense to me once I started reading that blog post, and reminded me of another company in the Netherlands, actually, where they connect delegation levels to seniority of people. So a junior software developer was not allowed to self-organize as much as a senior software developer who had simply acquired the trust of management to do basically anything you wanted. But as a junior, you just arrived last month, you need permission for a couple of things. That sort of makes sense for some key decision areas. Here's an example of my team. That I just finished, finished last month. Lots of tick marks there. One of them is how much can people spend? A very common question from people. What can I spend? Do I need permission to spend $10 or euros? No, of course not. But we go up to 500 euros. You can do what you want. There's level inquire. I will want to know afterwards how much you spend. Is it above 500? I would like to discuss this. I think that's reasonable, me being CEO. And that's clarity that I provide to the team. And then they can self-organize all they want. So there's a game, delegation poker. Some people like playing that with their colleagues to figure out where the assumptions are. What do people think where the fence is? You'd be surprised. I had one Agile coach tell me that he played this game for the same key decision areas, once with the managers and once with the teams. And then they compared the results. It was shocking, he said. Totally different assumptions about what people needed permission for and what they could do by themselves. So you can play this game yourself and make those boards as well. So let's do the exercise again. If you think this is running an experiment, not a framework, point in that direction. If you think manage the system, not the people, point upwards. If you think it's focusing on progress, not on happiness, point in that direction. Let me see some hands. Yeah, I see 70.4% is pointing upwards. I agree. That's very obvious. You create an environment where people can self-organize. You manage the system, not the people. It's a bit of the others as well, I'm sure, but this is one that I clearly recognize. So, I have some more examples. First, an intermezzo. As I said, I was a CIO for a number of years at a company in the Netherlands, and one thing that I'm particularly proud of is I introduced Agile thinking, I introduced Scrum, for better or worse, and it worked. You had to adapt things, of course, but one thing that was really good to see was that turnover at our company dropped from 15 or 20% to almost zero after transforming to Agile. That was so awesome. People were happier in their jobs. We had more success, better deliveries of software, and people felt happier. Now that brings me to an interesting philosophical question. Is it the success of practices and the success of the organization that makes people happier? Or is it happy people that introduce better practices and make organizations more successful? I want you to choose. Raise your hand if you think it is mainly the success that leads to happiness. Raise your hand. Let's see. All right. And if you think it's the other way around, it's the happiness that leads to success. All right. I see a slight majority of 85.3%. Good. Yeah, I think I agree after reading a lot of stuff about happiness, etc. But not everyone seems to agree, actually. So I read this book, Sean Akers, The Happiness Advantage. I gave it 5 stars. Awesome book. He said, we know that happiness is the precursor to success, not merely the result. But Phil Rosenzweig, a professor much smarter than I am, he said, does employee satisfaction lead to high performance? Probably, but the reverse effect is stronger. Interesting. But he called it satisfaction and not happiness. Is that then a different thing? Oh my God, complex. I don't know. It's probably a virtuous cycle. Both effects work. One may be stronger than the other. I expect happiness leads to success more than the other way around, but I'm not sure. Despite the complexity, a simple fact is happy workers achieve more. That's it. That's what all the researchers agree on. So I once thought, what is it that makes people happier in their jobs? What is it that we can do in a concrete sense to have more happiness in the workplace? I was in Argentina 2 years ago. Strange country. Nothing works. Everyone is happy. Seriously. There was not a single cash machine in all of Buenos Aires where I could get some money. But according to the reports, it's one of the happiest countries on earth. Maybe it's correlated. I don't know. Anyways, I remember I sat in a bar, I was drinking a cocktail, which I had to pay for by reselling the minibar from my hotel room. And I was researching the research on happiness. There's lots of articles about that. So I was doing a meta research, and I found the same things were mentioned again and again, the things that make people happier in their jobs and in their lives. These are the 12 things. Thank someone, and be appreciative every now and then. Give something to another person. Make it possible to offer gifts. Help someone who is in need of assistance. Eat well, healthy foods. Exercise and work out regularly. Rest well, sleep sufficiently. I only had 6 hours, not good. Experience new things, try new stuff, experiments. Hike outdoors, enjoy nature, fresh air. Meditate, mindfulness practices. Socialize with other people, hang out with your peers. Aim for a goal, have a purpose in life, and smile whenever you can, even when you have to fake it. That's it, that's what the researchers say. Even when you don't feel very happy, just paint that smile on your face and let your body pretend that you're happier, and then actually your brain and your posture and your expression on your face will trick your brain into believing you're a happier person. It's so odd. These are the 12 steps to happiness, all backed by science. And we're going to do a simple test here with this audience. Let's start with the easy one. I'm asking you to stand up if within the last 24 hours you thanked someone sincerely for something that they did or something that they have done for you or someone else. Did you thank someone? Just stand up. All right? Yeah. Okay. I see it. Well, this is, for me, typically American. I mean, a very, very thankful country. Thankful country. Thank you. You're so awesome. Is more often than going to the bathroom. So. And it's honest as well. So, all right, thank you. You can sit down. Let's try another one. Ooh, this is more difficult. How many of you have eaten well in the last 24 hours? That means no burgers, no French fries. Just stand up. How many of you have eaten well? Healthy foods, whatever, organic, veggies, whatever. Okay, that's half the audience. That's a good score. It's not worse than in Europe, I can tell you that. That's good. Okay, you can sit down. Let's try another one. How about meditation and mindfulness practices? Let me see the awesome people here. How many of you in the last 24 hours have meditated or applied mindfulness practices? Okay. All right. I see. It's 28.3. Cool. Awesome. Awesome. And how many of you have gone outside? Hiking, enjoy the fresh air, into the mountains, enjoy the park, something easy in this city, I suppose, with so many wonderful mountains in the area. Thank you. That's a great number. Let's do one more. That's one. How many of you had a good workout exercise in the last 3 minutes? Yeah. Everyone. You're so tired, you're not even standing up anymore. I can see that. But it's working. I see happy faces, lots of people smiling, and I don't think you're faking it, actually. So these are 12 steps to happiness. I call them 12 steps because happiness is a decision, right? It is the conscious decision. It is not an achievement. You can simply decide to be a happier person by doing these things. As some people say, it is a path, not a destination. Can you do this as a manager, as a coworker? Of course, you can do these things. I remember I once took my fellow software developers outside for a code review in the sun. We went outside in the sun. I had to drag them from their caves outside. Oh my God, it's so bright, it's so bright, turn it off. No, that's the sun, you idiot. That's the real thing. You can't swipe it off. Just sit here in the grass, and then we had a very nice code review. I call it sun-driven development. It's awesome. You should try it. So that's one thing that I did. And I consider that hiking, it was 100 yards, but okay, was a long way for some people, I can tell you that. I consider that going outside hiking. And as I said, 12 steps to happiness. Running experiments is part of experience. Running new experiments is learning things from experience, so that also counts as one of the steps to happiness. I have a couple more ideas for you. By the way, there's a poster here. You can download all this crap if you want. There's m30.me/happiness. It's all on the website, or ask me the link afterwards. You can download the poster and send it to your boss or whatever. We should go outside. Jurgen says so, and he's Dutch, he knows. All right, a couple more examples, things that I have been doing with my team. There's this interesting practice, I call it a 1.0 practice, that has infiltrated the business worldwide like a plague, and it's called the bonus system. Have you heard of it? Yep. All right, some people have. Okay, cool. Now, for those who haven't, I'll explain how it works traditionally. Traditionally, people get paid a certain amount of money throughout the year, but the business is generating a lot of profit because of all their work, and the CEO is applying what the scientists call the 80-20 rule, which is 80% disappears in his own pocket and 20% goes to everyone else. It's very kind of the top management. So, and somehow this 20% needs to be distributed among all the people. But how do you decide who gets how much? That's difficult. Traditionally, management decides. You get this much, you get this much. What you know for sure is that everyone's going to hate the manager for doing a bad job. Right? Everyone feels entitled to more. That's 1.0. There's 2.0, which is something that I hear regularly at Agile conferences and elsewhere. We should pay everyone the same thing, same amount of money, all through the year. Let's get rid of all this bonus stuff. It just makes everyone unhappy. Pay everyone the same. It is well intended, but I don't really believe it works. Because you see, there's plenty of research confirming that, for example, the 70% of drivers think they are above average drivers. Makes no sense. I've read somewhere that 80% of college professors think they are above average college professors. Now, these are smart people. They should understand the concept of average and 50%, right? I'm very sure that among professional keynote speakers, 90% think they are above average. It has not been measured, but I'm sure somebody will. I read scientific research, actually in Science Daily, a couple of weeks ago, that reported they actually had measured how much people thought they contributed to team efforts in the form of a percentage anonymously, and then they added the percentages, and then guess what they ended up with? 150%. You should try that exercise with your team. It will be so fun, so much fun. And they measured actually the bigger the team, the higher the percentage you end up with. Because people usually see only their own contribution. So what you should not do is pay everyone the same, because most people will think they are being underpaid. It won't be true, but you don't have the data to disprove it. And you will make everyone unhappy. I like this approach. I picked it up for several companies who have more of a democratized approach to bonuses. The CEO still decides how much bonus money there is, but does not decide who gets how much. That is delegated to the crowd. So everyone gets their own portion on one condition: you cannot keep it for yourselves. You have to give it to other people around you. Then let the games begin. Awesome. Awesome. So we actually do this with my team. We have a tool called Bonusly, bonus.ly. There are others as well, but we like this one. And it's simply peer-to-peer crediting. We have 100 points each month. At the start of the month, we start with 100 points, and we have to get rid of those points throughout the month. We cannot give points to ourselves, only to other people. For things that they did, it doesn't matter what. And the nice thing is, with Bonusly, we can add tags like our values, the values of a company. So I can give 10 points to Lizette for her enthusiasm during the hangout, or 15 points to Sergey for helping me out with something, which is kindness, anything. And there's like 360-degree feedback on a continuous basis in a measurable way. HR departments love this stuff, by the way. So much better than doing this annually. So we accumulate points as received from our peers. But then, of course, every now and then we need to convert this to money. How do you do that? Well, this is how we do it.
Hey. Everyone give it a kiss. Come on, lucky dice. We love you, we love you. Oh, it's a 6! Can you see? Can you see that?
So the rule is every month, in the first meeting, they will be doing this today, first meeting of the month, someone will throw the dice, and they have to throw a 6. No 6, no bonus. Easy. Easy. And then the bonus just rolls over to the next month. So it doesn't disappear. We set aside some money every month, which it just accumulates like a jackpot. It gets bigger and bigger. The team feels like they have their own private Las Vegas casino. They love it. Every month is potentially bonus time. And what is nice about this approach is they don't know when they get the bonus, which means in a traditional approach, people know that they get the bonus in December, and then usually it's less than they had expected, but they already had spent the money before they even received it. You know how it works. With our team, they can't. It could take a year. Funny thing is, the team wants Louise, who threw the dice, the team wants Louise to throw the dice because she has the lucky hand. Makes no sense. The last time she threw the dice was like, she threw a 6, was 5 months ago. Anyways, this is peer-to-peer crediting, and I call it merit money. It is money that you earn based on the merits that you have accumulated, that you received from your team. Now, some people ask me, Jurgen, doesn't this become a popularity contest? Isn't it like some people get all the bonus money from their peers? I don't know. Could be. But with the traditional system, you already have a popularity contest. It is called kissing the boss's ass. That is the contest you already have in place. The one who is best able kissing that particular ass gets the most money. On my team, we have democratized ass kissing. We have to kiss a lot of asses every day, I tell you. It's yesterday's Sergei's ass, today's Lizette's ass, tomorrow Hanno's ass. My God, I see asses everywhere. Yes, that's what it means to be a valued team member and be appreciated by everyone else. You get points. And that's a silly thing, but actually we think it's fun as well. And it makes us money, so what's wrong with that? Which of the 3 principles do you recognize here? Is it run experiments, not frameworks? Point in that direction. Is it manage the system, not the people? Point up. Is it focus on progress, not happiness? Point over there. Let's see. Yeah, I see. All right. Oh, it's a decent mix. I think it's like exactly 33.3. It was evenly divided. I saw that. Yeah, I think it's a bit of everything, indeed. It is still the experimental phase. Like one thing that we changed in the beginning, we did the points distribution once per month, but then we already had difficulty remembering what happened this month. We didn't know. I didn't know. I had to keep notes. Imagine when you do this once per year. That's so odd now for me. I now do this every day. I have an actual task, a recurring task on my task list. Before I go to bed, I think, okay, is there somebody that I should thank today and give some points? And that's true. I actually do that. And then I get rid of my points throughout the month. Such a nice practice. I have one more for you. I was once in a lunch meeting with my CEO many years ago when I was still employed. And I said, we're never celebrating anything at this company. We're running from one project to another, and it's awesome what we're doing here. But we never really say this. We never recognize that we're doing cool stuff and working with great people. So we should celebrate every now and then. We said, okay, what do you suggest? I thought, I said, well, maybe put up a bell or something like that, something that makes a lot of noise, because we had a big open office space, a former factory that was redesigned as an office. And he said, okay, cool. Then I forgot about the conversation. 2 weeks later, he came back to my desk with this bell. A huge copper ship's bell. Like, whoa, awesome. He said, here's your bell, now do something useful with it. Cool. So I took up the bell. I went with the bell to the office the office manager, sorry about that. And I asked her to put the bell in the middle of the office. From that moment, I sent everyone an email. I said, you can ring the bell anytime you want, but we will expect you, and then we expect everyone to gather around the coffee machine where the bell was, in the water cooler, and the person who rang the bell would explain what there was to celebrate. And the bell made a huge fucking noise, I can tell you that. It was amazing. Big open office space. You couldn't miss it, basically. And then 150 people would get together and convene and hear what there was to celebrate. And of course, everyone assumed there would be cookies and cake, obviously. We made sure of that. And the funny thing is, the last time that I heard the bell was when the CEO announced to everyone that I had just quit my job. This is not kidding, this is true. I went back there a couple of years ago, 2 years ago, and the bell was still there, and I was so proud of it. And I asked them, are you still ringing it? Yes, we're still ringing it. So it had become part of culture, and I really appreciate that. Here's another interesting story, also not made up. I got a message from Poland just a couple of weeks ago. Someone said to me, Jurgen, we tried your bell, doesn't work. How can this not work? I didn't understand. So tell me, what's the problem? Well, it worked for a couple of times until one of the software developers rang the bell for announcing to the whole organization that he had had great sex the night before. After that, nobody wanted to ring the bell anymore. Nobody could top that with even better sex, apparently. I don't know. What can you do? Oh well. So this brings up the next question. Sometimes people at conferences, and particularly Agile conference, they say we should celebrate failure. We should ring the bell for doing something ridiculously catastrophic or whatever. And just celebrate that almost the entire company went down in the drain. Just celebrate. Or something smaller. How many of you say, yeah, every now and then, it's okay. We ring the bell for failing. Just celebrate failure. How many of you would say, yeah, celebrate failure? Just raise your hand. Just admit it. Yeah, I'm sure some of you are part of that. Yep. Good number of hands. All right. How many of you say, well, it is actually better to celebrate success? Let's just celebrate successes. Okay. Slightly more hands, but not that much difference. How many of you would say, let's just celebrate everything? Failure, success, doesn't matter, party all the time. Makes no sense at all. Okay, so here's the thing. I based this diagram on the book by Donald Reinertsen that I'm sure some of you have seen, the Principles of Product Development Flow. It is tremendously complicated. It's basically unreadable. I couldn't get through. I got halfway and then I gave up. Donald is 10 times smarter than I am, but I'm a 10 times better illustrator than Donald is. Donald said to me, no, you're 100 times better than I am. We differ on the details, but anything. This is what I think Donald meant with his book, and I actually validated with this with him, and he said, it is pretty much okay. So I call it a celebration grid, and it says that we have these practices that we apply because they usually lead to success. That's what it means to repeat a good practice. We know that it's successful. Sometimes good practices fail, like a bell in Poland. All right, doesn't work there. Could happen. Then you learn something. That's interesting. Mistakes are bad practices, but I prefer to call them mistakes because usually we don't do them intentionally. We know that they don't work. They lead to failure. But sometimes mistakes lead to successes. You're being a stupid idiot and you're getting away with it. Interesting. That is a learning opportunity. Experiments are in the middle. You run experiments because you have absolutely no idea whether something will be a success or a failure. Now, Donald says that according to information theory, learning is optimal in the middle. I'm just channeling Donald here. I have absolutely no idea what I'm saying. So, learning is optimal in the middle when you run experiments. You don't learn anything when you just repeat good practices. You don't learn anything from repeating mistakes. They will just be failures. We already know that they don't work. But good practices, they lead to learning. It just doesn't happen that often. Mistakes, when they succeed, they can lead to learning. But the most learning happens in the middle, as I said. Now, celebrate failure would be this red part of the diagram. Why would you celebrate that? That makes no sense. It makes sense to celebrate this part, the success. But there's a danger. If this is the only reason why you're ringing the bell, you're sending people in that direction. They will prefer to only repeat good practices because you incentivize them for being successful. Right? That is what the diagram says. That's what I learned from Donald. You also need to realize that the learning is in the middle. So what you need to celebrate is experiments, not the failure. It is running experiments. Now, interestingly enough, networks are great at running experiments. Informal networks, scientists prefer to call them complex adaptive systems and all that stuff. Awesome at running experiments. Hierarchies are good at repeating good practices. When we know something that works, you just repeat it endlessly. That is what hierarchies are good at. When those hierarchies are big, we call them enterprises or something. Hierarchies are also great at repeating the same mistakes, by the way. When those are big, we call them governments. Now, what you need is a bit of both, networks and hierarchies. There's an interesting book published by John Kotter 2 years ago called Accelerate. He is famous for leading change in the 8-step change model. And he wrote, companies need a dual operating system. IT people will love that. You need 2 operating systems. You need a hierarchy for exploitation of ideas, but that exploitation will have an end-of-life cycle. You also need exploration for new ideas, and that is what you need a network for. So it is a balanced approach, a dual operating system, as you call it. That makes sense to me. So, a small network of smart people, including Steve Jobs and John Ivey, etc., they came up with the first smartphone. That was an invention. It was great. And then the hierarchies produced the other 1 billion copies of that same thing. Then you need to run for efficiency, drive the price down, and networks are not so good at being efficient. And of course, software development is here and not here, which is why we're say in Agile that we want self-organizing teams and not hierarchies. So by all means, celebrate successes, ring the bell for achievements, but also ring the bell for something that you've experimented with, even when it led to failure. Now I admit, I'm sure that many people mean this when they say, let's celebrate failure. Just don't call it celebrate failure, just celebrate learning. That is what you incentivize. Funny anecdote. Many years ago, I was at a birthday party with my little cousin Sam. Nephew in English. In Dutch it's the same word. My little nephew Sam, 6 years old, son of my sister, and he got a new bicycle. Dutch, of course, so they get a bicycle. So he hopped onto his bike and started riding his bike around us, and everything went well. Until one moment he came around the corner and bike and boy disappeared into the bushes. He crashed his bike into the bushes, completely vanished. So Sam got out of the bushes with his bicycle. Me and my sister were just watching, just being Dutch. Okay, it will be all right. He appeared with big eyes brimming with tears and looking at us with the expression like, what the fuck just happened? And I remember at that moment, I thought I should not pity him. Because when we pity him, he will start to cry. And I love children, except when they're crying. Particularly on my airplane rides. All right, pet peeve there. So I said, before my sister could intervene, I said, that was awesome. I have never seen someone crash his bike as spectacular as you just did. And he looked at me with his big eyes and said, yeah, are you sure? I said, absolutely, that was a beautiful fall. And he admitted, yeah, that was a beautiful crash, yeah. And then he jumped back on his bicycle and off he went. Until 3 minutes later, he came around the corner and he crashed his bike again in the same bushes. And we heard that was also a spectacular fall. Oh my God. And my sister said to me, that was a new bicycle. Well, buy him an old bicycle then. So, an example of someone incentivizing someone for failure. I celebrated failure. I should not have done that because the kid just did it again, trying to get the compliment, right? Lesson learned for me. I tried to teach him a lesson. He taught me a lesson. That was interesting. So, the celebration grid, as I call it, use it in your retrospectives. Use it to visualize the 3 standard Scrum questions. What should we start doing? What should we stop doing? What should we continue doing? It's the visualization of the same questions. What you should start doing is run new experiments. Stop doing anything that lands on the bottom. Continue doing anything that lands at the top. That's it. But visualizing it makes it much easier for people to talk about it. They add sticky notes to the board, etc. So a couple of examples from workshops. I use them at the end of the workshops. People love it. We just convene around the wall and draw a celebration grid. Sometimes I draw a funnel at the top to show people new experiments go in here. And here's one, again by a Dutch company. You can see that they're Dutch because they finished their retrospective just before 5 o'clock. Yay! Done. Home. Very punctual. All right, so what did you recognize? Experiments, managing the system, focusing on progress, not happiness. And let me see some hands. All right, lots of hands pointing that way. Running experiment. Yeah, I agree that. It's focusing on the experiments actually. A bit of the others as well, but specifically geared towards experiments. So all these are Management 3.0 practices. There are many more. You can play moving motivators and draw a happiness wall or have business guilds or exploration days. There's so many good practices and they're all based on the same principles. And every day, every month I learn new ideas. All of that is part of this book, formerly called Workout. That is the current edition. Only a few copies remaining. I'm not selling it anymore because it's re-released as Managing for Happiness in June. I'm very much looking forward to that. It's actually in the same series as Business Model Generation, same editors, same publishers, same paper, same size. So it's going to be awesome. And I will be in July and August touring around the US. So if you think your place is a cool place to visit, contact me. Last comments. I was raised as a software engineer, so to speak. I studied software engineering in Delft University in the Netherlands. But I also liked other things. I like marketing, I like entrepreneurship, leadership, finance. I even like bookkeeping. Call me weird, but I like counting numbers. Yeah. And I actually think I did some of those things better than programming. I suspect that my former team members begged our CEO to promote me away into a management position so I couldn't do any harm anymore. So becoming a manager, I had absolutely no clue how to manage people. For me, software developers were computers on legs with hair. I tried to program them, didn't work. Gave them instructions, they never followed my instructions. So annoying. Imagine a computer as buggy as that. So I tried to debug them, even worse. Well, ultimately I learned that I should manage the system, not the people, focus on progress, not on happiness, all that stuff. And some of my team members actually took notice. I got an interesting comment from Jennifer. She's American, she can't help it. She told me last year, she told me, Jurgen, you're my first manager who doesn't suck. I had to think about that for a few seconds. And then I said, thank you, Jennifer, because I thought that was a compliment. After 20 years of being a manager, I don't suck anymore. That is so cool. I'm considering this to be the new tagline for Management 3.0, right? Management 3.0, don't suck. Maybe Management 4.0 will be actually great, but that's 20 years from now. I don't know how to do that. I'm still learning. So in the beginning, we saw I had you all stand up. Thank you for that. I asked you to be honest with me, and we saw there's so few people know how to be happy, how have the team members be happy and productive, and introduce change in the organization, and be more innovative. Well, I'm one of those few people who was still standing. It took me 20 years, but by now I know how to do it. You know, I just hope that you will learn faster than I did. Okay. Thank you so much. Enjoy your day. It's going to be great. And I'll be around.